Hello, good morning and welcome to another episode of WhiteDetails. Escort RS Turbo. The car already may look very clean, and that it is. It's a lovely example with only 12,000 miles on the clock. However, flat black in colour, it's hiding a lot of the damage. Put a light on it and you can soon see there are abrasions, sander marks, buffer trails. And the flat black, it's like polishing butter. So someone has had a go already. You can see there are polishing marks and micro marring on certain panels from somebody else's polishing attempts. But it's Monday morning, it's wet outside, so I need to get geared up, get the wet work done, get it inside decontaminated on the ramp. Stay tuned and welcome to WhiteDetails. It's not ideal having you out in the rain. What happened last time on my old Canon, water got into the microphone and pretty much ruined it. So, it's not going to be a great deal of footage from the wash stage, I'm afraid. See you when we're back inside. Look at the indicator stalks. Tiny. And also zero power steering, which is interesting. So at this point, what I like to do is, before we go inside, because the car is now living the ramp for numerous days, is just dry the discs, which I'm fortunate to have this space outside just to be able to run the car 3 times on the brakes. Didn't think that was going to work then. She runs well, very smooth gearbox, mind you, 12,000 miles, you'd hope so. The little protectors for the jacket point covers, I needed to just think of something to do there, and the best solution is just to wrap them up, parcel them up in a fluffy microfiber towel, just to protect them until later in the detail where they can be put back on the sills correctly. Yes, they could be taken off, but the little plastic strap is attached by a little barbed sort of probe, and to detach, I just think it's worth leaving them on and working with them as opposed to working against them, taking them off for something that's old, brittle and plastic to snap, which will then leave me in trouble. Look how small the wheels are. Not even 15-inch wheels. Tiny little things. So I'm going to pull the vehicle blower out now to dry the vehicle down, eliminate all the trapped water and drips from the panel gaps inside the doors, the engine bay, badges, etc. Take the wheels outside, get them sorted, get them back in and dry, wipe it all down, mask it all up, and then see what the rest of the week has in store. Monday lunchtime. If I were to tell you that I was looking forward to this, if I were to say I was looking forward to this, I would be lying. I know many detailers that don't even book cars in if they know they're flat black. They run a mile. But here we are, Ford Escort 1991. It's had, I believe, 3 owners. It has had some bodywork. The owner found out it had an incident at the previous owner's garage involving a ladder, and we'll come on to that at the front end in a bit. But for those of you that don't know or not involved in the industry, flat black, solid black, any solid colour to the most part, non-metallic colours are a pain. They're usually butter soft. I'd imagine the majority of this being original paint. It's going to be thin, it's going to be delicate. Do what I can with what I'm given. Probably not chasing paint perfection. It's unrealistic at this time. But as we've seen already, there is obviously a lot of room for improvement. But now it's washed, it's decontaminated. Before I get too much more tape on the car to protect the rubbers, the plastics, the vulnerable areas, trim, we'll do some paint assessments. So what I mean by they are a pain when they're this colour, they just don't like to be polished. The nature of the gloss, it doesn't respond well to polishing. The hazing down here is somebody else's attempt at some sort of polishing down there. And similarly, around the side repeater here, the hazing, this has been done not very well, but I feel his or her pain when they did this polishing previously, because it can be a pig to get right. So what we're going to do is kill the big light and start to take a detailed look around. Sanding marks, saw this in the intro footage. So bonnet, wing have been painted. You can see that by the indifference in colour between the scuttle here, the bonnet and the wing. More noticeable on that side. When the wing has been painted, the masking mark has been done on the corner of the wheel arch there, which is most unfortunate. Not really something I can get too involved with there. I have to be careful with that as well. On the wind mirror base, I'm not sure if that's polish residue or abrasions, but there's some chalkiness to the base of the mirror there. And as we come down the A pillar, there's a lot of intricacies, the rubber, the 17mm or 20mm of paint here before the rubber again. There's lots of individual bits and sections and edges to potentially compromise or to be very, very careful with. But as we come down the A pillar, you can start to see where it's been polished up to. Somebody's overlapped onto the wing, been on the door and stopped there because they haven't got the intricate tools required to get up the A-frame. When was the last time you saw a touch disc? So yeah, there's a lot of room for improvement, but there's some deep stuff down here actually. A lot of the haze and marring swirls that can be improved quite easily. It's just a case of finding the right polish and pad combination to refine down. Ford, once upon a time, liked their sort of door edge protectors. They had like a reflector, and to an extent the Focus RS, the new cars do still. They have like an automated thing that swings around as the door is open, but you can see this has had something like that at some point in the past few years, which has been removed, but it's left a tide line, an edge where the abrasions, and that has left the paint pretty thin there. An area of concern to be careful with, not too much trouble up on the roof. Just usual swirling and scratching. A nice little concave little detail down the back of the C-pillar here. Lots of intricacies. It's a fiddly old thing, to be honest. Ooh, overspray. It's a nice little cluster there. Bumpers are a bit of road rash, chipping. A touch-up pen needs to be sourced for this. Detailing can exacerbate or make these areas worse. Back end of the bumper. Something's left abrasions here. Light clusters showing hazing. Owner requested that the registration plates are taken off to replace with new ones, so I've got this to tackle at some point as well. Up top, the spoiler is suffering from a bit of etching, water spotting, etching, dryness, and then down here underneath the spoiler it's going to be tricky to navigate. Same as the near side, the offside driver's door has the abrasions where a reflector has been on the bodywork for a period of time. It's nice with it being such a narrow, small car. I've got space to stand to be able to reach the roof. A lot of overspray in the wind mirror, that's cloudy as. Just thought it was cloudy here at the bottom of the A-pillar. It continues in the mirror. And also on the side skirt section there. Cloudy, some deeper stuff down here again. I hope there's enough paint on this. I don't even know if it's got a clear coat yet. It may be single stage. And then up top again on the scuttle you can see where somebody's had a polisher. Looks to be a DA I think as opposed to rotary. And they've not been behind the washer jet. Similar story that side. Which I appreciate. It is a difficult, awkward spot to work around, but we'll have to do what we can. Overspray here. Ooh. Front bumper's not looking too pretty. A lot of road chipping. This probably could have been done with being painted. Overspray around the toe eye. Not sure where to start, to be honest, but I think one of the combinations I will try first of all is Kamikaze Collection's Banzai Cut, Japanese cutting compound and Ichiban finish, which is their polishing, refining polish, geared towards the Japanese market, which is typically softer. So that might be a good combination to try. Otherwise, I need some time to experiment with the pad polish combinations and see what results we can pull out. Oh dear. So it's going to be a pretty mild approach with a polishing pad. I'll try the Ichiban finish and Banzai Cut Kamikaze and get some protection on later in the week. This is going to be rather special when it's finished. Lake Country Orange polishing pad, Lake Country Black finishing pad, Kamikaze Collection Banzai Cut, the orange Ichiban finish with the black, cut, refine, polish, refine. To be honest, my first combination, I'm hoping that's it. I'm not going to explore anymore.
That's how we do it on this side.
It's worth noting at this point that whenever I show the camera, whenever I show you during this polishing process, residue removal is a pain. It's tough to remove from the paint. It's sticky, it welds itself to the top surface. Isopropyl alcohol or panel wipe can mar the surface after you have used that to eliminate previous residue. So up until the point where it's refined, it's going to look rough, it's going to look marred, it's going to look hazy through my process. So you can see looking down at this half of the roof, it's looking good. The 1 inch lip here, the 1 inch lip there, the corner, 3 inch, 3 inch, 3 inch. But if I were to put a light on this, it's hazy, it's going to be a little bit rough still. And even, that's okay on there because that's the sunroof, even using the feather duster on the area that I'd refined here, marring, feather duster can mar the paint. But that said, this is full of dust, polish residue, so it is a bit brittle. And obviously a little bit unforgiving, which is why when the refining starts, the feather duster goes away. I suppose what I can do at this point is flash up an example of how the car sits on completion. I'm hoping it looks $1 million. Right, we have the first 50-50 offside front wing. We've seen this already with the micromar and the hazing. As we go across the door now, this is somebody else's attempt, and this is my attempt after a bit of a struggle. That's nearly there, to be honest. We're getting somewhere. This has been polished or cut This has been sort of like semi-refined just to sort of see where we're at. Talk about mirror finish. Excuse the big hair at the minute because it's still locked down and all the hairdressers are closed, the barbers. So that is a result. I will be videoing this and sending this through to the owner this evening. Some of the progress so far is the roof, this offside rear wing, and now the door. Not bad. Doesn't really feel like I'm getting very far with this. There's still a lot of cutting or polishing ahead. The spoiler is the only area to have been lacquered, so that actually took a bit of cutting. I had a wool pad and I had a microfiber cut pad with Cartex 3000 heavy cut on that to reduce the etchings and staining and scratches. And that was no fun, getting under there, hand polishing the underside, hand polishing under the spoiler, correcting what I can with the machine where I can. The reason the spoiler's not come out, it could have, and it would have made life a lot easier, but it also could have proposed or introduced more issues with brittle rubber grommets or rounded off screws or brittle plastic clips snapping or adhesive sticking or that. It was just, I'm gonna work around it. So now, whilst I'm back here, I suppose light clusters, get rid of this registration tape. Well, that's nice. This piggles away quite nicely actually. However, it is a good way of getting a blister. Work in progress at the back end then on this bumper. There's some deep scars here, which are going to need some more work. The whole thing itself needs some more work. It's also very sectiony, so there's the top deck with the lip that goes across. There's the little recess below the trim piece. That's one piece. In here, I haven't been in here yet. So you can see in there is damage and abrasions still yet to be polished, and ignore how hazy it is up here. Again, not refined. And also, I like it when we get to a round number, 87,000 subscribers. You know what the removal of the tape and the big boy vehicle blower process means? It means I've started to refine. So throughout the whole job I've been trying to work as cleanly as possible with residue control, being mindful of dust and polished clumps and glue residue off the side of the tape around the lock or the side of the it was lifted and that's got polish on it and that smudges the towel. The paint's very soft, it's susceptible to damage everywhere. I've spent a little bit of time over the whole job testing refining combinations, if I'm honest. And what I'm happy with so far, this back here has not been buffed. This middle section, there is no deeper or glossier black than a freshly detailed flat black. There is a lot of orange peel here, but that's just 90s original 30-year-old paint for you. On the most part, I'm happy with this. There's some residue left over holograms. I haven't IPA'd this. There's a possible problem with the IPA. I've got to be very careful with that mixture so that itself doesn't churn the paint up. But this is the big bulk area, but where I've used a 3-inch, there's just, you can start to pick up hologramming. So the 3-inch hasn't quite finished down around the handle on the lock there as nicely as a 5-inch. So that, moving forward, I need to be mindful of that. Redo these areas, but make sure the 3-inch is working harder to get the same result across the entire car. $12,000 finish. Time, it's fast approaching 8 p.m. and yes, I've done some refining. Yes, I'm sort of happy with it, but it's taken some figuring out, and it's going to be a long refining session tomorrow. Taking a break from the polishing on the paint for now, for tonight. Been polishing the rims, hybrid machine polishing where possible. A lot of gloss reinstalled to them actually. The reflection of the diffused light here and here, much shinier and sharper than the wheels that haven't yet been done. It's tough to pick up on camera. You can just see it's a bit mottled, a bit sort of heavy and almost stained. There's no clarity here. The light itself is a bit lost and broken compared to a wheel that has been polished, and clearly see the difference. So that's me for the next half an hour finishing off the two wheels. The owner wants another video on WhatsApp, sending them across, which is a common thing that I do, give them updates and progress, but I'm also thinking I'm at the point now where I don't want to show them too much more. I want them to see it in the flesh. But what I could do is just show you, run you over. This still needs wiping, so there's going to be some holograms. That's about it. I'll tell you more in the morning. Out of interest, I wanted to do a 50-50 on the refining side of things. Where are we? Here. See the left-hand side is a bit bloomy and cut up. You see the diagonal coming in. Get some focus. So we're a lot blacker, we're much more sharp now. This spoiler does respond a lot different to the body panels. The same as the side skirts and the arches and the bumpers. I can live with that. Don't forget this side, once it had been cut, it was immediately polished. So it's already had 2 stages of polishing, a heavy polish, a mild polish, to now get to the refining to allow it to get to this without too much stress. One of the areas I'm happiest with thus far is perhaps this top scuttle panel. The intricacy of doing that properly, you could see it wasn't done properly before, it's made a massive difference now. And it's these areas, the small, quirky, hard to do spots that of course make all the difference. Right, with the exception of what I'm about to show you behind me on the A pillars and the B pillar here, and that is the Escort now fully refined. But in the process of testing some refining combinations last night, I wasted a bit of time, this combination, that combination, using IPA, using the panel white, marring being reintroduced to the panel, frustration, one step forward, two back. The combination I've worked with has been Cartex 12,000 Ultra Finish. Very mild, very oily. The white Cartex polishing pad, refinishing pad, and the Lake Country black finishing pad for the 5-inch. However, in the process of doing some, okay, I need the softest, mildest, most forgiving combination possible to tackle this. And the 5-inch pad on the door first, great, I'm getting somewhere. 3-inch, 1-inch, the smaller the oscillation on the black finishing pads, it was leaving a hologram in it, was leaving marring, it was leaving a trail of where I'd been with hazing present still on the surface. And when it's like this, you can't afford to be leaving any of that behind. Now, if I pull you in and show you between the doors, this was with the black 1-inch finishing pad. Obviously that, not good enough. That's still hazy, that's still got damage from my polishing and also the refining. That is a refined finish. Or so I thought. But my mistake was using the black finishing pads, the ultra soft, squidgy, foam, delicate, forgiving. That should be the answer. But in the process of using these are too soft that they've not actually allowed the tiny amounts of micro abrasives in the refining polish to work. They've not allowed them to break down. Hence why there is some machining marks left present, and I had some around the door handle, the lock as well. But upping it to the white pads, the Rupes white pads, the Cartex white pads, these are also finishing pads, but they just give that bit more bite, mechanical bite, to allow the polish to do its job. So for me, that was a bit of a eureka moment, if I'm honest. It allowed me to progress down this side last night for a couple of hours. I finished about 8:30, and then pick up this morning with that same combination. Now I'm going to run that across the B pillars, and all being well, fingers crossed, and get the desired finish. And that's the refining complete. Same product, different pad. Fingers crossed. Beautiful. Up and over the door. Beautiful. Up and over the rear window. Beautiful. However, this little, what's that, 7 or 8 mil? That probably wants doing now. Of course it does. Interior upholstery is the sort of material that you don't want to get too wet, too saturated, or too warm. So it can easily ripple, it can easily disorientate, distort, that's the word. So all I'm doing is upholstery cleaner onto a warm, damp towel and just cycling, rinsing the water out of the towel back onto the... This contained the driver's seat dirt so far, but this is after the 4 seats that I've done, 3 seats that I've done. And I'm probably going to do this process 2 or 3 times over. There's obviously a lot of dirt come away so far, but I feel there's still room for improvement. As I say, the age of the vehicle, the fabrics, I don't want to start making things worse by too much water, too much heat, steam. You can break the adhesive down that the upholstery is stuck to the foam and it can come loose and get saggy and floppy and horrible. I'm quite amazed at how dirty that is actually. Some of the earlier footage of the early interior stages I wasn't able to capture because I ran out of space on the memory card, which is a schoolboy error. I haven't yet downloaded any of the footage, and I'm now on memory card 2, having dashed home to pick it up so I can carry on filming. Otherwise, the first memory card is 128 gigabytes and it is full. If you were to ask me, would I have done anything different on this job? I would say yes, absolutely. And I thought about it at the time when I first started polishing. But one thing I should have done was all the plastics, the wind mirror base, the handles, the grab handle from the boot at the back. All of the plastics have previous polish residue on them. They're chalky, they're patchy. In different lights you get to see it. So it's a messy process, an APC and a magic sponge just to wipe over basically. But obviously the last thing I want to do is get anywhere near the paint. So it's now masked off the handle, clean it, spray it, blow it. Masked off the lock, clean it, spray it, blow it. This little bit, the lock mechanism area, fuel filler cap, that can come out away from the car. 1, 2, and then try to do the wind mirror bases as well. Whilst messing around on the interior and doing the wheels, I've purposely left the coating for the paint to last. So I want it to be pretty much the last thing, the last major thing that's done. There's a lot of dust that's come up from doing the interior, vacuuming it, using the airline to blow, especially around the lower portions, side skirts and lower doors and wings. A final whiz around with a big boy vehicle blower, and then another wipe down. We can start doing some paint coatings whilst the wheels are curing. After application of BC-06, Modesta. Modesta's BC-08. That looks really cool. I'm tempted to leave it like that. This is the coating, sort of sitting for 5-10 minutes. I'm going to do some baking of it later as well with the infrared clearer lamps. Just doing half the guard on the wing, bonnet, the wing mirror, door, rear wing, up and over the top, down, across and down. I'm going to buff this now, then do the roof, tailgate and that side as one, finish off with the bumpers. Excellent timing. Good afternoon, WhiteDetails. Hello, Hi. I knew at the start of the week this was going to be a bit of a test, a bit of a draining mental challenge. Flat black at the best of times can be problematic, but I don't think it could have come out any better. It's not perfect. It is 90%, 85-90% correction, but still delicate. It's old, it's original, apart from the bonnet and this near side wing. A little bit of work to the interior, some polishing to the wheel faces, Modesta's coatings, good as new. And although it's a small model, it's a small car, it's one of the most fiddly ones that's been here for a long time as well. Lots of edges and ledges and windowsills and window frames that modern cars don't have. But if you've made it through this far, thank you for your time, thank you for watching, hope you've enjoyed. If you did, something new, I've not mentioned this before, but there is a link below to a page where you can buy me a coffee, should you want to give something back as a way of thank you. There's a link below, and I can not actually enjoy a coffee, but it's the equivalent amount, the sum of what a coffee would cost you. And then of course there's daily insights and behind the scenes updates over on Instagram. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already, fast approaching 100,000 subscribers now. And until next time, stay safe, take care, see you soon.